In this part of the presentation, I want to demonstrate what happens when you do process update on your dimension when data actually changed. You probably heard many times from other presenters and from reading documentation that if you do the process update, you have to actually process index for affected objects. This demonstration now will show you, it's very visible when you look at the file level, what happens when you do the process update and why it is important for you to actually process indexes for your analysis services affected objects. So I will actually do the demo for the dimension product in AdventureWorks database. And I happen to know that in this dimension there is a model name, the attribute, that is part of the aggregation design in one of the aggregations. I know that. And as you see, that model name attribute has a flexible relationship. So this has a relationship type flexible between attributes, and I want to show you how this impacts when you do the process update. So let's go back to our fact internet sales to this partition, and if we search again, or actually let's filter, let's select all the files that we have in this partition, and we can see that we have 449 files. And now if we filter just for model name, we see, as we said before, we have 6 files for this dimension. 6 files that are relates to model name dimension, which are either fact indexes or aggregation rigid or aggregation flexible indexes. So I have a small script that I prepared. We have a dim product dimension where the model name is sport-100, and we don't have at this point any model names where sport with the model name as sport-1000, and I'll do update of the data. So I'll update the dimension where the model name basically replacing the name of the model. Very simple. It happens in production. You have a dimension, certain attributes of the dimension changed. This is happening. What we do next is we'll process that affected dimension. We go ahead and we select the product and we right mouse click, we say process and process update. So we do the process update for the dimension. To remind you again, we had 449 files in that partition, and we have 6 files related to model name attribute in that partition folder. So we do the process update. It's pretty quick. We're updating just one single dimension. Let's let it finish. And actually we can see when it finishes. We had 6 files. Process succeeded. We close it and we search again for model name. So we hit sorry, I'll have to, and we have no files with model name as you see in that folder. If we now remove the filter at all and we try to select how many files are there, suddenly we have just 349 files. Okay, we had, just to remind you, 449 files. So we did a process update for this single dimension, and 100 of the files are gone. So it's not talking just about the 6 files we had for the specific one attribute, which was model name. There are many other files gone. So first of all, if you look, we had .agg.flex.data files. They are gone. So all the flexible aggregations which were stored in flexible data file, they're all gone. So even we processed just a single, even we changed the single attribute value, all the other flexible aggregations, all the aggregations that were with the built for the attribute, for flexible attribute relationship, they all are gone. So many people don't realize how big the impact is of the flexible aggregation relationship. It's not just a single attribute information, when it changes, it affects not just single attribute, it affects all the flexible aggregations. I know I keep repeating this probably 3, 4, 5 times, but I just want to stress it out, how important is that. All the rigid aggregation data, it still stays there. So if you design your aggregation as rigid, if there are no changes to that, all the aggregations are there because the data is still valid. But flexible aggregations, even one attribute there, which you haven't maybe thought about in your design, because it was a flexible aggregation, all of them are gone. Even more, what happens was, remember for model name, we had 2 files, a header file and aggregation, the index, bitmap index file to point to this flex aggregation data. They all gone. So basically, each attribute which had the flexible aggregation index and header file, they all were dropped as well. And for that specific updated attribute, all the index files were gone as well. There was no message for you about that, nothing. You did a process went through without any problems, but behind the scenes, analysis services dropped the flexible aggregations because they're not valid anymore, and they dropped for that specific attribute all the index files as well. You didn't see that, no message again. What the end user would see in this case, that their performance would suddenly slow down. If in previous queries they were able to access flexible aggregations for the specific query, as you process this one dimension, because flexible aggregations are gone, that's it. Your performance will be slower. And specifically for that attribute, that's even the worst case, because now that attribute doesn't have any index file. That attribute, if it participates in any queries, the performance will be even slower than that. So you should be aware of that. It's very good, visible demonstration on what happens. You process dimension and many files are gone. How do you fix this? So one of the options is to actually, when you do the process of this dimension, you actually hit an option of process affected objects. My preferred way, actually, the way I do always, is that after I do process update of the dimensions, I like to actually do the process index for each measure group. I just prefer for each, basically, even the cube. So what happens then is that if you do the process index, it will recreate for you just a missing indexes and missing aggregations. I want to stress it out. It does not create indexes that already are there, or does not create aggregations if they are already were created. So this is actually very good to know things, that when you do the process data, you actually forced to read the data from relational database. When you process index, just the missing indexes and just the missing aggregations are created for you. So that's very convenient. You did a process update. At the end, you also do the process index. When you do that, it's usually quick. Because actually not, it depends if it's usually quick if you haven't changed any data. Because sometimes when you do the process update, you're not sure if there was impact or no. So running process index on top of that, what it does, it compares that indexes exist with whatever should exist, and if there are anything missing, it will create for you. So usually this is, if data didn't change, this is very quick. If the data change, it takes time to create that data indexes and aggregations again. So I just process index again, and now if I select all the files in that folder, and I see that we have now 449 files again, the same as it was before. And if I search for model name, I see that model name, all the data was created again, indexes were created again. So this was a good example for you what happens when you do the process update, and this shows you the impact on the actual files. So this was my last demo I wanted to do for this presentation. And thank you very much for sticking with me and listening to my presentation. Again, I can recommend the book by Microsoft team, Edward Melamed, Irina Gorbach, Alexander Berger, Microsoft SQL Server Analysis Services. And there is I think, unleashed version for 2008. I don't have it with me. It's in my office. And if you want to learn deeper, if you want to understand more how Analysis Services stores the data, that's the book to read. It has a lot of information, internal information, probably much more than you need. But if you want to understand the internal storage, it's a very good book written by Microsoft employees who help you to understand insights of Analysis Services. Again, thank you very much for sticking with me through this presentation. Bye.